After college, I moved into a small studio apartment in Chicago. Nothing fancy, just a top-floor unit in a nondescript, 3-story brick building on the city's north side. Rent was cheap, the location was convenient, and at 23, burdened with student loans and a part-time bartending job, I couldn't afford to be picky. It was mine. That was all that mattered. The place was functional. One room, a kitchenette, a bathroom, and a single window that faced a narrow, shadow-filled alley. Across the way stood another apartment building that mirrored mine almost perfectly. Same bricks, same layout, same forgotten charm. The alley between us was so tight a car could barely squeeze through, and even during the day, it never saw much sunlight. At night, it became a black void. I never paid much attention to it. I worked late shifts and was used to coming home around 2:30 or 3 o'clock in the morning. I'd throw off my shoes, heat up leftovers, scroll on my phone, and crash. But about a month into living there, something changed. That night started like any other. I had just gotten home tired, aching, hungry. I flicked on the overhead light, and something caught my eye. A movement, a twitch, a slight pull in the curtain across the alley. It was quick, almost like a reflexive blink, and then nothing. The window was still again, as black and empty as always. I stood still, watching for a few seconds. Probably a breeze, I told myself. Or maybe I startled someone who just happened to be looking out. Either way, I shook it off and went about my night. The next night though, it happened again. Same time, same routine. I unlocked my door, stepped inside, turned on the light, and there it was. The curtain in that same window shifted, but this time, it was unmistakable. A hand, a pale hand, pulling the curtain back slightly, just enough for someone to peer through. I couldn't make out their face. The interior of the apartment was completely dark, and whoever was behind that curtain stayed hidden in the shadows. It was strange because I had never seen the lights on in that apartment. Not once. I'd assumed it was vacant, just another empty unit in an aging building. But now, I wasn't so sure. That night I didn't sleep much. Over the next week, I started watching, observing, each night, without fail. The curtain would move seconds after I arrived home and turned on the lights. Sometimes it was just a flicker. Sometimes it was a slow, deliberate parting. But it always happened, always watching, always waiting. I began experimenting. I'd sit quietly in the dark, lights off, just watching. Nothing. The curtain stayed still. But the moment I flicked on even the smallest light, like the soft glow of my bedside lamp, the curtain would twitch, part, and close again. Someone was watching me. I was sure of it. I tried to rationalize it. Maybe it was just someone who liked to look out their window at night. Maybe they were lonely. Maybe they were just curious. But deep down, I knew it wasn't that. The timing was too exact. The consistency too precise. Whoever it was, they were reacting to me, to my presence. I asked my landlord about the apartment across the alley. He told me it was vacant, had been for months. I pressed him. Was he sure? Could someone have moved in without his knowledge? He laughed it off, called me paranoid, said maybe I'd been watching too many scary movies after work. I wanted to believe him. I wanted to believe I was just tired and imagining things, but I wasn't. Then everything changed. One night, I got home much later than usual. The bar had hosted a private event, and cleanup dragged on until nearly 4 o'clock a.m. I was half asleep as I trudged up the stairs, craving nothing but my bed. But when I reached my apartment door, I noticed something strange. There was a small slip of paper stuck in the doorframe. At first, I thought it was a flyer or an ad, but when I pulled it out and unfolded it, my stomach dropped. It was a handwritten note, one word, just one. Hey, written in uneven pen strokes, casual, friendly, too friendly. I felt the air leave my lungs. I stumbled backward from the door and turned slowly to face the alley. The curtain was closed. No movement, no light, just a dark window. Staring, I panicked. Grabbed my phone and called my friend Jamie, who lived across town. She didn't ask questions, just told me to come over. I didn't pack much, just grabbed a few essentials, threw them into a backpack, and left. I didn't even look back. The next day, I went straight to my landlord. This time, I wasn't asking, I was demanding. I needed to see that apartment across the alley. Needed proof I wasn't losing my mind. Reluctantly, he agreed. We met at the building next door that afternoon. He unlocked the door, and we stepped inside. The apartment was empty. Dust coated the floor in a thin, untouched layer. No furniture, no signs of life. The walls were bare, and the air smelled stale. It felt like nobody had stepped inside in years. Except for one thing. In the back room, the one facing my window, there was a single object. A metal folding chair, positioned directly in front of the window. It was unmistakable. Whoever had been watching me had been sitting right there, night after night, peering into my world. The police were called. They dusted for prints, asked questions, searched the place. But as far as I know, nothing came of it. No fingerprints, no sign of forced entry. Just an empty apartment with a chair and a perfect view of my life. The fact that someone had access to that unit-locked, supposedly vacant unit was terrifying enough. But what haunted me more was how long it had been happening. How many nights had they watched me scroll on my phone, undress, sleep? How long had they sat there in silence while I carried on, unaware? I moved out that week, left everything behind. To this day, I don't know who was watching me. I don't know how they got in. I don't know what they wanted, or how long it would have gone on if I had found that note. Sometimes, I think about the landlord. I wonder if he knew more than he let on. But when I replayed that moment, the moment he stepped into that apartment with me, and saw the chair, I know the shock on his face was real. He looked just as confused, just as disturbed. I still think about that window. I still see it in my dreams, dark, silent, waiting. And sometimes, when I wake up in the middle of the night in a new apartment in a new city, I can't help but look toward the window. Because sometimes, I still feel it, that someone, somewhere, is still watching.